Welcome back to Tutorial Tidbits. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire, and today I'm going to show you how to get some very fun and unique results by layering my new Klimt stencil called Leaves, which is a geometric pattern, with my new Klimt mask, which is called Sensuous Spirals, which is an organic pattern. And when you layer the geometric with the organic, you get some beautiful combinations. Not to mention, I'm going to show you how to use metallic and how to incorporate that into some other colors and onto the top of darker, lower layers. So I'm super excited to share this with you. So if you've got a few minutes, let's go check it out. So this week, I want to show you some tips and tricks for using my layering stencils, my new designs of the Klimt layering stencils, and I'll get to that in a minute, and golden fluid acrylics metallics. So I've got some iridescent metallics here today from Golden, and they're bronze, copper, and gold. They also do make a silver, but since we're doing Klimt, I figured we would stay in the gold warm family. Bronze is a little cool. Bronze is actually gold with a little bit of turquoise phthalo suspended in it. So it gives you sort of a greenish metallic. And copper is really on the pinkish side, and gold is pretty yellow. So these are all very warm colors. So you can see that they're quite metallic and shimmery, and also being that they're metallic, they're pretty opaque. So they will cover over darker colors. I generally work from light to dark in my layers, but today we're going to do something completely different because the metallics are opaque. We're going to go metallic, which is going to be a lighter value with darker colors underneath. And when I say layering stencils, what I mean is that there are two designs in my new Klimt set that are meant to be layered with the others. I always try to design two geometric shape designs, at least two, that will layer nicely with the organic designs. So when you see the leaves pattern, which is triangles, over the underneath the sensuous spirals pattern, you can see that that's some beautiful kind of blending of patterns, the geometric with the organic. So those are the two of the Klimt stencils. This is a stencil, this is a mask, and these are the two of my new collection that I'm going to feature today. Now, I want to let you know that these stencils and masks have been wildly popular at joggles.com. That's where they're available for purchase, but they released last week and have been wildly popular. So please don't get frustrated if you go there and it says that they're sold out. Please notice that there's a little button underneath the stencil that says notify me when it's back in stock. If you click that, you'll get an email immediately when the stencils are back in stock, and we are already working on that, and we anticipate that they'll be back within the week. So rather than miss them when they potentially sell out again, click that button that says notify me when they're back in stock, and then that way you will be the first to know, amongst the first to know, and you won't risk having them get sold out again. So I encourage you to go there and click that button on all the ones that you may be interested in, and then you'll be at the top of the list. So let's get started with the layering of Leaves, a geometric specific layering stencil with sensuous spirals, and working from dark to light. So on the gel plate lower layer, the first one that I'll do will be in blue. So I'm going to start with an ultramarine blue and do a solid sheet. So I'm going to take my brayer, which is probably still got a little paint in it. So I'm going to roll that off pretty clean. And then the ultramarine blue is a pretty bright, vibrant blue. It's dark, but I have blue that's darker. So we'll start with that. And I am going to be working on my, if I can find it, favorite rice paper pad. Here it is. This is a 9x12 pad of rice paper that is available on my Amazon shopping supply list. And that link for all the supplies is in the upper right-hand corner. Of course, the stencils and masks are from joggles.com, but everything else that I use here today you can get on my Amazon page, which is set up in categories specifically for paper, paint, paintbrushes, supplies for my workshops, supplies for your studio setup. It's a really well designed Amazon page, and I encourage you to go there and look at the talk bubbles. There's a little talk bubble in the upper right hand corner of every item on that page, and I've made little notes in that talk bubble. If you click on that talk bubble, you'll get my notes as to why I'm recommending it and how I use it. So here's the rice paper pad. Now, the reason why I like this pad is a couple of things. First of all, it's very sturdy, heavy-duty rice paper. It's not thin, and it's not going to tear on the plate. So we better print this before it dries. Also, it has a smooth-sized side, and that smoothness really pulls all of the paint off the plate. That nice, smooth side. Now, it's also, in this print, picked up some artifacting from a previous copper print. But that smooth side, the smooth side faces up in the pad. So it's very smooth, and it will pull all of the paint off the plate. The other thing I love about rice paper for my collage application, because I'm using all of these prints in collage, is that it's highly porous. So it glues down nice and flat because the glue really soaks through it and it doesn't wrinkle or cockle. It glues down perfectly flat. And because it's highly porous, with a little bit of water and a brush full of paint, you can paint onto it and it will soak all the way through and go to the other side. And what is the benefit of that? When you tear that, you don't have white edges because the color has soaked through the core of the paper. You have to add water to get it to do that. But a little water and a brush and you'll have paper that'll never have a white edge. And that is a beautiful thing. So I'm going to do another print without the copper in it. From the leftover. So let's go with that again with the cobalt. We're going to roll that out in a nice thin layer. This is my 8x10 gel plate. Smooth sides going down into the paint. I'm going to make sure I get a good connection, good contact, and I just want a nice solid cobalt blue sheet. So you can see that looked a lot darker going on the plate, but it's a bright hue, so it is a good bright cobalt. So I'm going to do another one, and this time I'm going to go switch gears, and I'm going to do Quinacridone Violet. I'm going to leave, well, no, I'm not going to leave the blue that's in my brayer. I'm going to roll this out. Actually, I'm working with two brayers out here. This one is my warm color brayer. So rather than risk getting that blue to tint this, I'm going to use my warm color brayer. Okay. And now I'm going to take that smooth side and put it down into the paint. And that's the Quinacridone Violet. That's also a pretty dark color. And then, just for good measure, I'm going to make one more, and I'm going to make turquoise phthalo. But what I'm going to do here is something I want to encourage you to experiment with. Add some metallic to other colors to make new metallic colors. So I'm going to add the bronze because the bronze is the cooler of all of the three. And we're going to blend that together with the turquoise phthalo. And we're going to be making a nice metallic tealish green. So when we're blending colors on the plate, two colors, we're going to stir and then roll. Stir, swirl, and then roll to get it to all blend really well all the way down through. So now I've got this beautiful teal metallic. So you can blend gold, copper, and bronze into other colors and experiment with that, and you'll get shimmery metallic colors that are just all kinds of versions. Look at this. So you don't have to just stick with the way they come out of the container. These metallics should be blended with other colors. Like this copper would probably blend really nicely with that Quinacridone Violet. So let's try that. And we'll roll that out with the warm color brayer, stirring and rolling, swirling and rolling. And now you're going to have a coppery kind of metallic quinacridone violet. And of course, the more copper that I would add and the less violet would give me a whole different tone. So you have to experiment with equal parts or more part metallic or more part pigment. So you can blend all kinds of shimmery metallic versions of other paint colors. How gorgeous is that? Klimt would be very happy with all these shimmery colors. So let's do one last one with gold, and let's have gold go into this phthalo blue green shade. That gold is not open. Use this one. And I'm gonna grab that cool color green brayer. I'll roll it off a little bit on my scrap sheet and then stir it and roll it and stir it and roll it. This is going to be very similar to the phthalo one. I can already tell that because it's basically green and yellow, gold being the yellow. But it's not exact. This one's a little bit different. So let's grab that one. And these are all going to be the base layers of where we start. This has given us a good variety. Okay, that's a little bit more towards blue, and this one's a little bit more towards green, but you can see they're just gloriously beautiful, blending the metallics in with other colors. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is the geometric layer. So we're gonna use the leaves stencil, and we're gonna go in a darker color over our base color. So this one was made with the phthalo blue green shade, so I'm gonna put that on top without metallic this time, and it will be darker. So let's make sure we clean the brayer out. And of course, this brayer cleanup sheet is a great base sheet for another layer. So we're gonna roll out, this is the phthalo blue green shade. And I'm going to put the leaves stencil over that and take this prepared solid metallic and print that on top. Now you're going to use the heel of the palms of your hand to make sure that this rice paper goes down in between all the spaces in the stencil or mask. The great thing about this rice paper is it's very malleable and it will go into those holes much easier than, say, an old book page or sheet music or something that is not quite as flexible and bendable. So this gives you a really nice impression with the stencils and captures a lot of nice detail. So here's the leaves mask on top of that metallic sheet. Look at that. That is just lovely. And then we've got another one that is the ghost print that I'll go ahead and put on top of this one. That's why it's handy to start with several prepared solids. So now I've got the ghost print of leaves on that one. And I've still got a little bit behind that I'm going to clean up with that brayer cleanup sheet. We didn't quite get it all off. The rice paper is the paper that really pulls the most of it off. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to go now over the cobalt blue sheet with a darker blue. So I'm going to use the phthalo blue green shade. And just to make sure that it gets nice and dark, I'm just going to put a little quinacridone crimson in it because I want to make sure it's a nice dark tone to go over the cobalt. So I'm going to swirl and roll and swirl and roll and swirl and roll. And that has made a really nice dark, 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 dark blue. So now I'm going to do the leaves stencil over the cobalt blue for my second layer. Before I dismount, I like to look and make sure I got a good contact, a good connection. And I feel like I have really nice impression of the leaves on there. And I've got another ghost print, but I'm going to roll this out. And let's see. I'm probably going to just print this off because I want to switch colors for the red sheets. So I'm going to print this off onto another scrap paper so that I can use it as a base for something later on. There we go. That got most of it off. Okay, so now that I'm working on this beautiful metallic crimson sheet, I'm going to go darker to, let's see, Quinacridone Violet is darker than the Quinacridone Crimson, also more opaque. You can tell that by the tick marks on the front of the container. So we're going to go with this crimson to make sure we get darker layer. So I'm going to roll that out in a nice thin layer and put my leaves mask stencil down and then transfer that geometric pattern as the base layer onto this beautifully metallic crimson sheet. And we'll have a little more pressure in the places that didn't get the best impression. Before we dismount, we're always going to check. And now I have a nice tone-on-tone pattern, really nice leaves pattern on that crimson sheet. Now I had prepared another crimson sheet, so I'm going to do the ghost print on this one. Looks like it picked up a little bit of blue off the back of the stencil, so that should be interesting on here. And we'll print that. And the next layer is the metallic. So that looks beautiful, dark on there. And we've got some left over. So I'm just going to grab this cleanup brayer sheet and see if I can print that off so I can get back to clean. Pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to take these geometric base layers that we've got in several color combinations. And we're going to go over them with metallic in the Sensuous Spirals mask. So we're layering the geometric leaves with the Sensuous Spirals. We're starting with dark and medium tones on the bottom, and we're going to go with metallic on the top. So the first thing I need to do is find the Sensuous Spirals. Here it is. Okay. So then on this one, I am going to go with the blue one. I'm going to go with bronze because the blue is a cool color and bronze is a little bit of a cooler metallic color. So I'm going to do bronze spirals over the blues. So I'm going to roll that out nice and thin. And I've got a little bit of green in there from the brayer. I should have cleaned it off, but I guess that's okay. It's not too bad. And I'm going to put the Spirals mask into the paint and put the prepared bottom layer on top. Now you can of course mix colors in with your metallics on this layer as well, but I wanted to sort of show it to you as pure, although we've got some green in there from the brayer. And again, here you can see before I dismount it, I want to add some more pressure in the center of those spirals to make sure I'm getting a good impression. I want to make sure all those spirals print onto my paper here. So before you pull it off, have a sneak peek. And this one could use a little more pressure. And then we're going to pull it. That one. And this one. I want it to be really a good impression. So this is why I go through the effort before I pull it off to make sure. And this one right here needs a little bit more. So that's right here. And here you go. So here's a beautiful print with the leaves stencil underneath, which is giving us that light and dark area that is showing through with the cobalt blue. So look at that beautiful variation in the bottom layer and how it shows through the copper. I mean the bronze in the top layer. It's a lovely layering of the leaves stencil and the Sensuous Spirals mask. All right, so the next color combo, this one, the crimson, I think I'm going to use copper, straight up copper on top of that one. So I've got a ghost print here, and I'm just going to clean it off with my cleanup sheet. And my cleanup sheet here could end up being just as interesting as the stuff that I'm making intentionally. Didn't all come off because it dried a little bit, but we did get it on the cleanup sheet a little bit. So no worries, we'll just add the copper to it. And we'll roll that out with the warm brayer, but I'm gonna make sure that the warm brayer is definitely not got any crimson in it. So I'm gonna get a nice thin layer of the copper metallic and put the Sensuous Spirals mask into that and take this warm colored base layer with the leaves geometric stencil and layer it. So again, I'm making sure I get a good contact. I'm really going to press with the heels of the palm of my hand. Sometimes metallics grab onto the plate a little bit more than other colors, and so it takes a little more effort to get them off. Same with titanium white and any color that has titanium white in it, like teal or Naples yellow. Those are colors that tend to want to grab onto the plate a little bit more than others. So we're going to give it a peek. Oh, I love this already. And another peek and some more pressure. And here we have a beautiful warm color version with the same effect with the geometric leaves stencil underneath, giving dark and light to the area that shows through the copper. Isn't that really rich and beautiful? Really, really, really nice. So again, we've got stuff under here. So let's lift that up and use another one of these cleanup sheets that I've just got off to the side to remove that paint. And look at that. We've made another sheet just by cleaning up our brayer and the plate. All right, so this is getting a little bit of buildup on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean it with a rice paper sheet. I'm gonna put, let's do the Quinacridone Violet since this is copper on the bottom. And I'm just gonna roll that paint out right over all that stuff that's left on the plate. And I'm going to use my rice paper sheet to pull all the paint off and get us back down to clean. So let's grab that rice paper. And remember, it's always going to be the smooth side down. So that is the side that is facing up in the pad. You can feel it. You can definitely feel the difference between this side and the other side. So smooth side down. And this layer of Quinacridone Violet that I put over the plate should cause it to release all the previous paint that was stuck to it. And this rice paper really pulls everything off nicely. So yeah, oh, it's sticking. Too hot out here. And usually that doesn't happen. All right, so that's a bit messy, but this part of the print is quite nice. So we'll just save that because for collage, I'm ripping it up anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then luckily, the gel plate has two sides, so I'm just going to flip it over and keep on going. But if this happens to you, the best way to get this paper off is to just put it in some warm soapy water and just soak it for a little bit and then give it a little scrub and the paper will come off. All right, so let's just flip it over and keep on going. So the next layer is this one, the Greenish Teal. So we're going to go over that one with, we could go with the turquoise phthalo, but it's very similar to what's down. We could go with the turquoise phthalo and darken it, but we are going to go with metallic. What am I talking about? Okay, sidetracked by the paper on the plate. Okay, so we could go over this with the gold because we've got bronze and green underneath it, and this will really give us a good bright top layer. So I'm going to open this one up, and sometimes these lids are tricky because the plastic underneath does not want to come off with the first layer. But here we go. We've got the gold. We're going to put that out. That's a nice bright gold. I'm going to make sure there's no paint in the warm color brayer. Okay, so we're going to roll out that gold. And that is going to look really nice over this turquoise sheet that we've got going. So we'll get nice even coverage. And then I'm going to put my Sensuous Spirals into the gold paint. And I'm going to take my leaves green on phthalo green metallic and print right on top. So we're making multiple prints in the same process so you can see the difference in the colors and the color choice on the bottom. and how the geometric leaves stencil affects how the final product. So let's see, we'll give it a peek. Oh, I shifted it when I was moving around. I shifted it. So interesting. It's kind of cool, actually. A little shifted out of register, but you can still see the effect of the leaves stencil underneath, and that's actually kind of cool. So rather than the real crisp impression that I got when I didn't shift it, this shifted a little when I was rubbing it, and it's a little softer. So that's kind of serendipitous and quite interesting. So it's probably because the plate has that paper underneath it, and it's maybe not sticking to the table as well. I'm not sure. So anyway, I'm gonna let's try and go with, let's do gold. Let's do gold. We'll just add more gold to it. And we'll go over this other crimson metallic sheet that we made with the gold. Now, we already did copper on that sort of color base layer. So let's see what the gold looks like. So we'll roll that out in a nice thin layer. We'll put the Sensuous Spirals mask into the gold and put the prepared crimson sheet on top of that. And this time I'll try not to shift. But I certainly didn't mind that out of register print. It was kind of soft and watery looking. So applying pressure with the heel of the palm of my hand and checking before I dismount, making sure I get good contact in the center of all those spirals. There's one there that could be better up here. It's that one, so right there. There we go, this one, so right here. And I think that looks good. So there's the gold over the two-tone bottom layer. And this two-tone was a little bit, it was a crimson on crimson, light on dark. This one was a little bolder. This is the copper over the top, and the contrast of the print underneath was a little bolder. So two different versions of the layering stencil and mask. And last but not least, we have this one, which is a pretty high contrast underneath. So let's go over this one with bronze. So we're going to clean this off by printing it onto a cleanup sheet. We'll use this one. And we'll just clean that off as much as we can. And then we'll do bronze over this last green sheet. So there's our cleanup sheet, looking even more interesting. And there's still gold there, but I think it'll be fine with the bronze mixed in. I'm going to clean my brayer and then roll this bronze right into the gold. So we'll put the Sensuous Spirals right into the copper. Oh, I said I was going to do bronze. Okay. Yeah, let's do bronze. So let's use the copper on this sheet, our cleanup sheet, because I do want to stay in the green family on that. I just love the copper so much. It's just so golden and also warm, orangey, magenta. It's just beautiful color. So let's see. So that looks really interesting in multi-layers over the cleanup sheet. And we'll pull that off. And I'll use a rice paper sheet to really get all of this off. So I'm going to grab a sheet from my pad of rice paper. Smooth side down. See if I can get a lot of that off. It's already partially dried. So this is a beautiful ghost print. And I'm going to hang on to that. That could use another layer. I'm going to put blue over this. And roll that out. And to clean the plate and give myself another interesting print, I'm just going to put the smooth side down, and this will pull all the paint off. We'll be back to clean for our bronze and final print. So that's quite lovely. That's picked up all the previous layers and it didn't stick, which is because I moved quicker because it's quite warm out here where I'm working. But that's a lovely base for another layer. And now we're back down to pretty clean and we can use the bronze, which was my original intention. So bronze, and I'm gonna clean off this brayer onto the cleanup sheet over here. Make sure there's no blue in it. Okay, and now rolling out that bronze, which is really on the greenish tone, which is why I want to put it on this green sheet. It's much cooler than, say, that. Okay, let's work quickly. Put that mask into the paint and put this prepared geometric layer and print. We're going to give it a lot of pressure with the heel of the palm of your hand. And I really like the way this is looking. I think this is the best one yet. We're going to end with a bang finale. That's always a good way to finish. So here we have a really nice combination of the leaves geometric stencil underneath in two-tone that were pretty high contrast. This is real dark compared to the metallic green, which is much lighter, and then the bronze over the top. So I really like the way that one looks as well. So we've got the greens, the golds, the coppers, the out of register gold, which is watery and pretty looking, the cobalt, ultramarine, which is just vibrant with that copper, the ultramarine, and then the copper with the ultramarine and the darker phthalo blue-green shade. So there you have a lot of color combinations of metallic with the Sensuous Spirals mask, which is down here, layered with the leaves stencil. So layering those two leads to some beautiful prints, and we'll just grab that on this cleanup sheet, and we've made extra cleanup sheets as well. So happy Friday, and thank you for being here.